This is the Power Producers Podcast, where we are refining and redefining the sales game.
Rule number one is you have to believe in yourself. You're the only one who doesn't think you belong in this appointment. The prospect has already validated your existence by scheduling time with you. Get it through your head you belong here, go in there, crush it, and close the deal.
A place where sales professionals can come to learn from other sales professionals and thought leaders that have mastered their craft.
The difference between a good salesperson and a best-in-class salesperson is only 2 minutes. By spending an extra 2 minutes on what you might think is a mundane task in the sales game, you separate yourselves from the pack, you grow your book of business, you close more deals, and you retain your accounts.
As well as their peers who are still striving for perfection to achieve their why.
I have a wife and 4 kids. Failure is not an option.
Real sales professionals, real stories, real results. Are you ready to feel the power?
Anyway, so but
I don't know, man. We had a bone to pick with New Orleans, so we needed to show them what was up. That was the best redemption we could get after they waxed us twice during the regular season.
Yeah, they had domination on you guys. I was noticing that, but I figured Brady's got a little bit of skill under big pressure, so I figured he'd come through.
Yep, absolutely.
So then we lost David again.
No,
he's doing a little bit of miming.
I missed it. Cut out the last little bit. I'm good.
Okay, good, perfect. I've just got this new Yeti microphone, so
hold on, something's going on.
That's what we use too, is the Yeti microphones.
Yeah, I just got it. I just got my Plantronics wireless headset to work. I've been testing it for my staff.
Yeah,
and just got it working. I'm just trying to try it for the podcast, and then we've had the Yeti thing. I've tried it for a couple podcasts for our digital insurance plan podcast for season 2. So it seems to work better, a little better quality. So
yeah, it's solid. I'm a fan.
Yeah, me too.
I bought a Shure SM7B, and I've had nothing but problems since I bought it.
Wow, go Yeti. I think it was like $150 on Amazon. I
have a Yeti. That's what I moved from.
Okay, so Yeti wasn't good enough.
No, I want the sound quality of the SM7B, and the other thing is when I buy something, I expect it to work. So now it's a challenge.
Yeah.
It's weird, man. It just cuts out for no reason in the middle of, like, it'll just stop. Like that's what happened just a minute ago.
Wow.
Whether I'm in a Zoom meeting or on Squadcast, it just completely crashes and says my mic's not working. But if I go over and I hit the caret next to the mute, it'll go back and it'll start back up again. So something's not jiving right. My IT guy says he thinks it's probably the fact that my laptop's not powerful enough to handle it, so it's freaking it out. Okay. Which I bought a new desktop that's supposed to be installed while I'm in St. Louis this week, so maybe that'll fix it. But
nice, you're in St. Louis, are you?
I will be. Tuesday through Thursday, yeah.
Clients or coaching or all the above?
All of the above.
Nice.
I'm going to see Cass for part of that. He's right across the river, so.
Oh, you're going to see Cass. Look out.
That was as Canadian as you can get right there, man. That look out.
Look out, eh? Look out and about. Look out and about, eh? No. I see how's Cass's team doing, and how's how the protege going?
It's going good, man. We're having a blast with it. It's been interesting. The thing that's really surprised me more than anything else is how serious these people are taking it.
Oh, that's good though. They're top producers. They want to win.
Yeah, they're savages. They really are, man.
I feel like we should be recording this. This is good stuff.
I think we are recording it, right? So I haven't had a chance to consume it. I'm gonna binge watch it like Netflix. How many weeks have you gone through? Give me an update.
Well, so we're going through and recording it right now.
Okay.
Nothing's been released. The only things that we have released publicly so far are I created the profile pages for each of the contestants that have their auditions and their video bios on it. Yeah. We released the intro to the show, and then we also have the live draft of all of the coaches posted on the website from when we did the live draft of teams. It's pretty cool.
Yeah. Well, I saw Jason Cass, and he was in like Laugh My Ass Off video, and I thought I don't know if I was a trailer. I saw it on his Facebook, and a lot of people need therapy after watching that. But I thought he actually shot you, but he used an app where he changed your face and put you into a video.
He did for me.
Well, I think I look like it. And again, you have to ask Cass when you see him in St. Louis. But if you go to his Facebook page, you'll see, and he looks like one of the lead singer off Laugh My Ass Off and Sexy and I Know It or whatever video they were doing. And he's dancing around. So I thought it was a promo for the Protege. I'm like, wow.
No, I know what you're talking
about.
No, I know what you're talking about, man. He got this app called Reface.
Reface, yeah.
And that's literally all he does anymore. I don't even think he deals in insurance. He just sits around making Reface apps and arguing with people about politics.
Yeah, no doubt. I stay out of politics out of the U.S. You guys sort it out. You know, the only problem is if you guys sneeze, we get a cold. That's how dependent Canada is on the U.S. So
no kidding.
We care what goes on big time because it affects us huge. So we've been watching it, and again, my thoughts and prayers. Hopefully, you guys can get back to some unity and get over this bump, right? So
it's crazy, man. You know, and the thing is, I think that the majority of the people out there are kind of agnostic to party at this point. You know, I don't think that, I mean, you've got your extremists and that's always what you're going to see on the news is the right and the left. But I think that there's a growing number of people like me that are just disgruntled citizens that want to have everything back to the way it was.
Yeah.
And we'll do whatever we need to do to make that happen. But I think that we're getting very, very close. If we don't have an official third party by the next election, I will be pretty surprised.
Kanye West isn't going to be your official third?
I don't know if we can.
It's like they don't have enough money, man. If there was ever a time where an independent could have won, it would have been these last two elections. So I have no faith that that'll ever happen.
Yeah. Well, I think Gold Digger would probably be a good song. They take my money when I'm in need.
Yeah,
I think the government's going to have to take a lot of money to pay up for COVID. There's going to be a price tag out there, and corporate America and corporate Canada is going to pay a lot of it with taxes. You know, it's one thing you need to do that, but you got to pay it back, right? So good, man. Hey, great to be on the show. It's been way too long, and David, so sorry I couldn't get a hold of you sooner. I know you reached out months ago, and you're on my list, and I've been watching all the great stuff you're doing. Huge fan. You're killing commercial. Both you and Kyle, and all the stuff that you're doing is phenomenal. You know, I think the last time I saw you was maybe at Brainshare.
It probably was, yeah.
And again, I loved your idea on there, and we're still trying to do it with all your points for doing different thing in your agency. And I sent that to my team, and you know that was one of the biggest writer downers. I walked away going, "Wow, David's got this all hooked up. Pretty cool. Love what he's doing." So, got to say, huge fan up here in Canada. Love all the stuff you're doing with Killing Commercial, and just how you're changing the industry. So I just wanted to give some kudos right off the bat.
Well, I'm a huge fan of those Bloody Marys that you post every single weekend.
You putting like shrimp in them and like little mini cheeseburgers, or what are you doing?
Pretty much everything. If there's anything you can put and eat, it's pretty much been one of my Dr. Caesar, which is my AKA my handle. It's pretty much been there. And my wife Una, she helps organize everything and make sure they're perfectly colored and strategically put together. So had a lot of fun doing it. And unfortunately, we can't have anybody over. We're locked down again in Canada, so haven't really made a bunch of them for a while. You notice my feed's been a little bit barren, but I like making them for other people, not so much just myself, right? But I've been using the Traeger and the smoker, and I see David doing some great stuff on his feed. He's a complete foodie, so I've been salivating over all the great stuff he's been doing. So Kyle, I'm not sure if you're into the smoker too, if you're into that.
I am. I'm not as advanced as David here, but one thing that was cool that my mom got me for Christmas was this gift. It's called like Master Class.
She got you the Master Class for barbecue.
For anything,
nice.
I can use it for anything, but I'm gonna look up some smoker stuff. And
Chris Voss has one on there you should watch too.
Oh
nice.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, Masterclass is good. Like, is it like what, $100 or a couple $100 a year?
Yeah,
and you can tune into the best people in the world at anything. Like, there's been no better time in human history to get your game up a level because you can get, speakers are next to nothing online now. You can buy any book, so there's no excuse. And everybody's bored during COVID. Why aren't you trying to master some new skills, right?
Mm-hmm. So I think I can do like, I have like a year subscription or something like that. As soon as I turn it on, and I can do like unlimited amount of things in that time. Like I could do barbecue stuff. I could do whatever else is on there. So I have to check it out.
Right on, man. Hey, David, are you a green egg guy, or are you a Traeger guy, or you have something different?
I'm a green egg guy for right now, but that really is only because I have a client that's a distributor for them that took care of me when I got it. Yeah, if I had to go out and buy a Kamado again, I'd probably get a Kamado Joe because
that's what I have.
Okay.
More bang for your buck. But I will also probably have a Traeger at some point because I need to be.
Traeger's the pellets, right? Like the,
Yeah,
like
It
a-
is. And the problem is with the egg, I love it. I love the food that comes off of it. I absolutely hate getting that thing set up though.
Yeah, it's a lot of work. Like right
It's a-
now,
it-
let's go ahead.
I was just saying the process of getting it up and running and getting everything set is just that. It's a process. It takes forever.
Yeah, the
Yeah,
good thing about the
meanwhile-
Traeger, I just got my wife bought it for my 50th birthday, and I always wanted a smoker, but she didn't like smoked meat, but she went out and got it for my 50th. And the Traeger, you basically put the pellets in, you turn it on, takes 10 minutes to heat up, and then I've got an app on my phone. I can crank the heat up, I can look at the temperature, and I can basically run everything from my phone. And I'm not opening the lid. You know, what is that? If you're looking, you ain't cooking. I think I learned that pretty quick from my U.S. friends. If you're looking, you ain't cooking. I think that was probably the best line I heard. Right? So
that didn't come from Newfoundland.
no, I didn't actually. Well, I'm not sure if my friend CJ Nolan's a big broker out there, and I don't know if he's into the smoke stuff. I'll have to ask him if it's gone that. But it's starting to take over. The Traeger seems to be getting a real big foothold and getting really popular in Canada. You know, we're always about 5 or 6 years behind the US, so we're probably about 20 years behind in terms of smoking. But now we can actually do it. We can buy products, which is phenomenal. So.
You know, it's interesting. You brought up a good point. I mean, with the master classes and the training and everything, and that's one of the things that I completely underestimated when we launched Killing Commercial, because you know, there's 3 different segments in there. We have the sales portion, and then we have kind of like what happens after the sales portion, which is Keeping Commercial. And you know, Cass is sort of been the guinea pig for me in all of this, because he went out and ended up writing a big account that he was not expecting to write, and then he landed it, and he said, "Uh-oh, now what do I do?" And he had no clue. And so we actually created curriculum for Keeping Commercial that is literally getting pushed out to the program right now. But as I was launching Killing, I did the business planning module, the prospecting module, and the marketing module. And I'm like, I got plenty of time to get all of the content edited and put up for the appointment setting and the actual meeting preparation and all of that. I got at least 45 to 60 days to get that done. Nobody's sitting at home watching videos all the time right now. And then COVID hit 2 weeks later.
No, it's you're building the airplane in flight, right? It's like a good startup. You're building it while you're flying the plane. You'll land it. You know, you got to get the count first before you have to service it. You got to get it. So, you know, be careful when your greatest dream comes true, because then it creates a host of new things, right? But no, it's good. I've been a huge fan of the Killing Commercial, and definitely want to learn more about it. And it's on my to-do list to follow up and have a chat with you. You know, I think it's killing. You know, it's awesome. Well, unfortunately, in Canada, we don't have workers' comp, and I know you've always been a pro at going into workers' comp, and I think you call it mods, getting that mod number down. You know, all the value-added services around that. I really wish we had that in Canada, because what you've done, I think, is, you know, top and best in class from what I can see and what I hear from my different friends that part of your program and what I've seen and consumed. Right. So, but that said,
it's been cool, man. I mean, and part of that's because of them. I mean, the one thing that we've done that's different than what anybody else has done out there is we've created an online social aspect and a virtual community that allows people to support each other. And I mean, I know you're a big tech guy, and that's one of the reasons why I wanted to have you on, was to talk about some of the tech trends and things that you've seen and implemented in your agency. But we're launching our mobile app for Killing Commercial in February. And as soon as that happens, we're going to gamify the community, because I want to take a bunch of us that don't compete against each other, that are all alphas just going out trying to go after middle market. And I want to be able to gamify that and have us actually compete against each other in the community, and then have sponsors give prize money or gift cards or whatever else to different people to win in order to get their brand out. But
that's awesome.
It's been crazy, man. It's been really cool. And the other thing that caught me by surprise with that, and then we're going to get into talking about you, because I can talk about myself all day.
I'm interviewing you. This is great. I'm learning from you.
That's right.
I love
it. It's but the other thing that we're going to do that has caught me off guard is our ability to leverage the numbers, right? So we can do bulk purchasing by aggregating our needs together as a community, and then going to the vendors and getting community-based pricing for that. So our mod auditing software, our HR software, you know, our VA services and things like that are all things that we're, you know, just taking the law of large numbers and using it to leverage our costs down, so that everybody has a financial benefit in addition to the ability to learn how to produce and keep accounts. You know, we're building this thing for the long term. Ultimately, what my goal is, I don't even know if you know this or not, but my goal is to have it for a couple of years, make sure everybody's got a similar moral compass, and that we write the kind of business we write, the way we write it, and we're doing it profitably. And I want to launch a captive for Killing Commercial and let all of the agencies that are in there aggregate as much of our clean business into a captive that we all own and are financial partners in, so that we can make more money.
That's awesome. I think you got a great vision there, and I love what you're doing. We're in the process of blowing up our commercial department right now because we've been successful at personal lines in terms of digitizing, generating 800 to 1,000 leads a month in the process, but we've never been a great commercial brokerage, and we've done farm very well, but we haven't digitized it. So we're currently blowing it up. I've hired a coach that was an ex-35-year Aon employee to teach us how to go after mid-market Canadian style, but I think there's some huge benefits of what you're doing, and I have it on my list once we get the base done to actually reach out to you and say, hey, how can Killing Commercial help Excalibur kill it in Canada, and maybe one of your first Canadian people connected to your program, right? So, there's a lot of things. Cool. There's 80% that will work in Canada. There's that 20% that won't. But, I've been lucky enough in my travels since 2016 through all the U.S. states and all my cool U.S. friends to apply what works and what doesn't, and hopefully have the wisdom to know the difference. And, 80% of stuff's transferable, right? So. Really
and the thing is, for us, a lot of it is just process driven. It's not technical insurance related stuff. So the behaviors and the things that we teach, most of it actually would transfer to other industry in addition to insurance. So we may end up launching an entire Killing franchise at some point, but
you're sorry to use the pun, but you're killing it, right? So
it's awesome.
killing it in a lot of fronts.
So there's no comp in Canada. Is it just taken care of by the healthcare, or like
it's government run? So workers' comp is run, so we can't sell it. There's no product there. There's nothing not to say we couldn't jump in and charge a fee maybe to help people, but it's just not done universally. So that's one thing that's missing, and there's no premiums on there. Like I see some of the comp premiums. Yes, they're high and the commission's low, but you get a 500,000 comp premium at 5%. We don't have that market, so that's not an option in Canada. So it's a little bit different, but the value adds in the other part of the services you offer, that's really, there's some huge potential there. And that's what we're always looking. We're just redoing our value added services right now and getting more to T core and adding stuff into that T core. We're just trying to change the language. And again, we got 3 or 4 more hard months of work to level up, and we're not going to do it overnight, but we're committed to get there. We figured out the personal lines relatively well. I'm convinced we will figure out the commercials. So the one thing I know Cass has been working, I've been working with Cass a bit with the Be Atomic people. We're actually on the Be Atomic marketing cloud, and we've been chatting about how we can get some of the process in Killing Commercial or the mindset into Salesforce. So I know a lot of great work's being done on that, so I'm excited to see where that goes. So there's a lot of good stuff. So back to your buying power, I think there may be some opportunity for your Killing Commercial people maybe to use Be Atomic and aggregate your data once you get to that level. So there's some really cool stuff. So anyway, I'll flip it over to you, David. You wanted to chat about tech and stuff like that. Good intro anyway. Good.
Man.
It's great to get a chat, to get together and chat, man. I haven't seen you for a while. Kyle, I don't know if I met you, Kyle.
I don't think so. But
I'm not sure if we met. You weren't in Tampa last year, right?
No, he wasn't there.
I don't think you were there. I don't remember seeing you, but there was about 125 people there, so it's hard to remember everybody. But really cool to meet you, and thanks for being on the show, guys. So.
Thanks for being here.
Yeah, absolutely. So real quick, why don't you just sort of give everybody the lay of the land and let them know kind of where you came from, how you got in the industry and all of that. And then we'll dive into the cool stuff.
Yeah,
not that that's not cool, but I mean,
no, I'll give you the 90-second, 25,000 foot view. We're a traditional brokerage. When I was 18, my dad needed some help in the summer, got my license, went to university, worked in the summers for him, and then got back, and we had 3 or 4 companies. I set up a cluster back in 1995, which was fairly innovative back then to get markets. And then over the period of time, we bought a few brokerages. We became the Excalibur Insurance Group. And then I would suggest we did okay, but I would say about 2013, started meeting some really cool people in the US. My friend Michael McLean had a really good thing called the Ultimate Millionaire Agent. He was part of the I'm trying to think of the guy's name. There's a part of the Quantum Group down in the US. They had a really good program. Michael Jans, he was part of that, and he kind of broke off. Met some top agents from across the US. Billy Wagner, for instance, I met him through that course. Got to be Billy Wagner hooked me into the IAOA. So it's amazing when you're out there bumping into people what happens. But fast fast forward, we redid our brand in 2013. We went to more of a digital focus, and we started figuring how we could start driving leads online, because at that point, maybe 50% of shopping was done online. Today, I think it's 80% of people start their journey online, especially for personal lines. Commercial, probably not. Commercial hasn't quite got there. It may never get there. And that's a good debate. We can talk about, business owners, are they going to be digitally savvy? Can you market them online? Only segments. That's one thing I'm trying to explore right now. But we basically did that, and we started, growing digitally. And I didn't think what we were doing at Excalibur is very remarkable. I thought we were always behind. And then a guy named Nicholas Ayers had me speak at IAOA down in Tampa, and I got in front of 500 people I had never met before and kind of shared my story, and it kind of resonated with people. Hey, an older small town broker in the middle of nowhere that can digitize and change, man, I can do that too. And since then, I've spoke to about 6,500 to 7,000 people across Canada and the US, kind of sharing my story, trying to help out. And and then all my spare time, I help out in the Canadian industry. I'm on the Ontario Technology Committee. I'm on the Insurance Brokers Association of Canada Technology Committee. I'm on the CZO Initech Committee. So I'm trying to build APIs or help get companies to open up their systems, connect and improve the industry, because at the end of the day, my big why is to leave it better than I found it. And I want to make sure that I think that's what you want to do, David. You want to help people, you want to set something up, you want to enable people. And that's one of my goals. So yeah. I maybe went to 120 seconds, but that's Cole's Notes version of Jeff Roy and Excalibur. So
that's cool. It's interesting, man, because, talking about operating in a digital ecosystem, one of the things in middle market commercial specifically that I always talk about is that you have to be a 5-tool player. And, like anything else, you're going to get what you want out of COVID from an experience standpoint. And if I were to tell you the one thing that I think that COVID has done for people in our industry is it's forced producers to develop the other 4 tools outside of cold calling people in person. We're absolutely killing it on the phones right now. And we have the ability to get in front of way more people. So, in looking at that, it may be we get so accustomed to doing that we don't switch, right? We continue to hammer the phones in the manner that we've been hammering the phones, and then gradually augment going back to what had been our bread and butter, which is in-person cold call marketing drops. But just the ability to use Zoom and other mediums to have meetings virtually, in addition to using the phones as a method to initiate conversation, has been awesome. And for us, it's easy because we never make that call without knowing something. So as far as our producers go, we're really focusing on those accounts that we know have issues. We can pull their experience mod. We know the mod is high. So it's a natural conversation, and we have very good scripts around that. But beginning in January of this year, we've augmented that with using a VA to call to set appointments for us, which has been awesome. And I'll tell you, this is somebody who has 0 calling experience. They had never called to set appointments or anything before. I wrote the scripts for them, and I will tell you they're marginal. I don't think that they're
but it's what it needs to be. It's simple and it's to the point. It doesn't need to be anything extravagant. That's the whole point, in my opinion. That's when I've always had the most success, is when it's just simple, and you don't get them going down a rabbit trail of multiple questions that get you in the weeds.
Well, and I think the big thing, David, like, what is that? So I write the songs, I write the scripts. The main thing is you're doing it. A lot of people wait till everything's perfect. When I get the perfect script and the perfect marketing I'm going to launch, 3 years goes by and they never get off the effing ground, right? So that's something where you're actually doing it. You're not using COVID as an excuse, and you got somebody doing it that doesn't have head trash. They don't know what they should or shouldn't do. They're following a script. They're listening to you. And guess what? They're building expectations. They're being successful. What COVID has done is accelerated in a lot of areas, things 2 or 3 or 4 years ahead of time for those people that said, hey, I'm going to learn from it and jump on the curve and adapt my business. It's done a great job. And it's really good to see that you're adapting, and, people are there, that people are actually around to pick the phone up because they have a lot of free time right now. There's no better time to get a hold of people, but people use COVID. I'm not going to do anything. They use that as a big crutch and excuse. I'm going to wait till COVID's over. Well, you're killing it and you're building it during COVID. You're going to do a lot better, right?
Yeah. And it's been great because, this guy not having experience, obviously he's going to have questions. So I've just left Facebook open on one of my monitors and we communicate back and forth over Messenger. So there's been multiple times where he has a question or an objection and he types it and I'm typing him the reply to get past it in real time. and then he updates his script. But I mean, we built this the right way. I think that's one of the things too. You know, anytime I take something on that's a new project, I don't take time. Like I'm ready to go. Boom. If I have an idea today, there's a very high likelihood some level of that idea will be in practice tomorrow. I mean, I just don't waste time. And so, because to me, it's cheaper for me to try something and then either correct it to make it work or cut bait and quit it than it is to never go and try that to begin with. And so for us, the thing that's nice, the way that we develop our call lists is from public domain. So we can go to the Department of Workers' Compensation website in Florida and we can download every single company that has a workers' comp renewal per month. And it tells us who the carrier is and all of that stuff. So that's the basis for what we do. So we dump that into HubSpot, and then the producers go out and they do some very low level research, because all we really have to do once we have that company record created is get the domain for that company. And HubSpot's going to go out and scrape all the data it can from public record, which gives us the phone number and everything else. But just by going and checking the website and validating that it's an existing business creates a whole whirlwind of things that are going to happen. So they go in, they validate that the business is good. They change the status of that lead to VA call list. And as soon as that happens, it dumps into that VA's call list. And then the VA has its own sequence and workflow that he uses every single day. And he's constantly calling fresh leads. He has his tasks for those people he didn't get in touch with or ask him to follow back up with. And the ones that they say, absolutely not, we're not interested, that we put into a different bucket because we're going to market to them a different way. But I can see all of that. And the thing that I really like about it is it's integrated with Lightspeed Voice, so that when even though he's in the Philippines, because he's got a static IP, Lightspeed was able to make it work with the Zoiper soft phone app that they use. So every time this guy's calling, it's attaching to the company record in HubSpot, and I can go back and review those calls to determine whether or not he needs to improve, what he did good, to make sure I'm telling him the things he did good too. And at some point, and I'm sure this will come up in conversation, but I mean, with all of the things that are happening with AI right now and voice recognition and Donna and Conmagi and some of these other products that are out there, we're going to be able to automate that process too. It's going to say, here's what you should have said. Here's, even listening to our salespeople, missing cross-sell opportunities or whatever else based off of voice recognition on phone calls. That's where it's headed, man. I think that's a huge opportunity, and people are either going to adopt that now or they're going to scoff at it. But if you wait till later to look into this technology before you think it's something you should have in your agency, you're going to be behind.
Lots of nuggets there to unpack. I feel like I'm doing an interview. Yeah, this is great, man. I love it. I totally agree. I love how you're taking massive action and you're launching, failing, learning, and fixing, right? You get an idea, you launch it. It's not going to be perfect. It might be 75%. You're tweaking it. I 100% agree with the voice and AI. We have a phone system called crew.io we're implementing right now. It's going to be able to analyze all the phone conversations and, usually by taking those voice conversations into a script, applying AI and starting to do sentiment analysis by, it can also look at the tone of voice and start, looking, hey, was it a good conversation, a bad conversation? And as you said, eventually start coming up with scripts of what you should say. Imagine when you can do that real time, where it's sensing that and telling people what to do, what rabbit hole to go down if the human brain isn't good enough. So that's, as Wayne Gretzky, to use a Canadian analogy, skate where the puck's going, not where it is. That's exactly where you're going right now. And you're blazing a trail. Two quick questions. Which agency VAs are you using Andy Priestman, or using Wes Anderson's or somebody else's? And
no,
secondly,
we're using agency VA.
Agency VA, okay, perfect. And great thing, we're looking into using a VA right now too. We had never done that, and that's one of our things we're looking into right now. So great to use a VA if you can outsource stuff at a lesser cost and a time. People can do stuff when you're sleeping or working. Huge benefit on that, 100%. And then secondly, you mentioned your 5 big plays, phoning being one of them. Maybe just explain, what are the 4 other ones? Some of my Canadian friends will probably watch this podcast and they'll probably wonder, what are those 4 other plays?
I mean, you have, it's just like being a baseball player, right? I mean, they talk about 5-tool players in the Major League Baseball drafts. I don't think salespeople are any different. So you have cold calling, you have emailing, you have channel partnership development, you have cold call marketing drops, and I missed one, Kyle. I'm having a brain freak.
You say referral partners?
Yeah, channel partnership.
Yeah, cold calling. Yeah.
Cool.
Social. I'm sorry, social
media.
Yeah, digital.
Okay. Hey, it's Monday, and guess what? Your football team won. So
I totally
would have been up late too, right? So
Tampa's
into the next
fuzzy today.
Tampa's into the Final Four, so I'd be pretty pumped too, right?
Well, and the thing is, we've talked about digital. That's the last thing on my mind as far as sales.
Yeah. Well, it's just like the basics work, right? Like every football team has certain plays, and they do the basics well, blocking, tackling. They have certain plays, they have a few audibles, and people need to have, one's a lonely number. So if you got one play, well, the one play isn't working very well, and you're a one hit wonder, a one play wonder, and they figure that out. What do you do? So 5 strong plays, and doing them at, different. You've got each of those plays being done in 4 or 5 different levels. So hats off. It sounds like I can't wait to learn more about the Killing commercial in the future. It sounds like you're doing some really cool stuff. So.
Yeah, the nice part about it too, Jeff, is, and again, this goes back to difference in thought process from what I would say is traditional insurance agencies. We're certainly headed in this direction in rapid fashion now because people are seeing how it's working. But, we've had a CRM since almost day one, and that's a big difference because every single one of those things that I just said was part of the 5 tools. We can measure that.
Yeah.
It's not like we're just flying blind. We know how many phone calls are made. Not only do we know, but we can listen to them because we have a history inside the CRM where those calls are attached. We know how many marketing drops are being made in terms of cold calling because we have a sequence that our producers are required to follow so that when they go make that initial contact in person, they come back and they put the date that they did it, whether they met with the decision maker or not. And then boom, depending on how that works, it fires off an email sequence for follow-up and generates tasks for them to follow up on the phone. For channel partnerships, we monitor who's referring us business. So we know where we need to nurture those relationships the most. And digital automatically would be the one you would think most people would realize has integration. But I mean,
saw some boy sound there.
Yeah, I think that the CRM is crucial in order to sharpen those 5 tools, right? I mean, I remember when I first came on board when we didn't have our CRM up and running, and I remember asking David about it, like, so what's the deal with you have like a Salesforce? You have like, what's the story? So I'm sitting here trying to work off like a spreadsheet, and it was just interesting to me because my first job out of college, I was selling office supplies. There was no CRM. Like I was writing everything down on like a ledger, all the people that I had went and seen that day, names, dog's name, what they buy, where they buy it from, and keeping record and flipping through it like the Stone Age. And then I go to a corporate America, PEO situation where they had Salesforce, and I was like, oh man, this is the best thing ever. And then I remember coming in and asking David about it, and once we got it up and running, it's worked beautifully. But it was a transition, at first, and having to really figure out how to make that work. But it's tough without it. To do those 5 things that you're talking about and do them well.
Yeah. Well, what get measures get done, and if you don't know what your 5 or 6 KPIs are, if you can't tell me that, and if you can't put that in, there's no way you can figure out your cost, whether it's per phone call, per click, how many clicks you need, or phone calls or drops to get a conversion to a quote, and then quote to a sale. If you can't tell that and automate that, you're flying blind. Back to what David said, right? And if you're flying blind, there's no way you can scale that. And if you can't scale it, like referrals and stuff are great. And every place I go, number one way of getting new business, referrals usually aren't always scalable. So you can get so many things out of referrals, but if you really want to go into turbo, you need to have different marketing plans or your 5 plays to drive business into that. And you need to be able to put the throttle down and make it happen. So hats off to you guys for figuring out the KPIs, being able to, you said you use HubSpot as your CRM. We're currently using a product called Trufla in Canada for our personal lines CRM. My friend Sharif Gamal has built a really good system, and it works very well. We used to use Velocify, but it got sold so many times, and they just didn't want to put the effort into making it better. We actually went over to Trufla over a year ago, and then we're going to use Salesforce for our commercial marketing system too, using Marketing Cloud on top of that through the Be Atomic with Seth Zarambas. So same thing. It's about having the right tech stack, but using it and actually looking at your numbers. A lot of people don't bother looking. They just look at how much sales they make, and they don't go upstream where, if you have to do the activities before to be able to get the sales, right? So you guys totally get it, and hats off for building a really good system. So.
Well, the other thing about that is I don't know how a producer ever course corrects if they don't know what their numbers are, right?
Yeah,
I mean, it's to me, it's a given that as the owner of the agency, I need to know numbers so I know how to make my business plan and run my business. But truthfully, anything that we do from a sales standpoint in this business comes down to one thing: volume. It's either volume in terms of the size of the account you go after, volume in terms of the number of phone calls you have to make, or whatever else. So coming up with a business plan is not difficult at all. You start at the back and you work your way forward. Here's how much I want to make. So here's how much revenue I have to write. Here's my average account size. So here's how many accounts I need. And then you run through it. And if you do that exercise the right way, all the way down to literally the number of cold calls you need to do every day, the number of emails you need to do every day, the number of, marketing drops you do. And when you do that, you do it that way. If you're not hitting your numbers, then okay, I need to do more. I need to do bigger accounts because I'm not getting where I need to be, or maybe I need to do smaller accounts, but call on more of them. I mean, that it makes it so much easier. This is not a complicated business. I mean, certainly the insurance side of it is, but a sales process side, it's not complicated at all. It's just a matter of having a system and working the system, period. The problem is that, the average person out there, and I mean, no disrespect by this, but they're just not willing to do what they need to do. I mean, they want to sit back and wait for the phone to ring. They don't want to go out and make the phone ring. It's just, it's a completely different mindset. And when you're going after middle market business, everything you do has to be intentional. Everything.
No, exactly. I think that's great. I think a lot of people don't know what to do. Sometimes they don't know how to do it. And back to your thing, like, with your funnel, you can say, hey, if I want to write $2 million of premium, whatever that is in commission, depending on your average account, here's my average account size, here's how many quotes I need to be doing. Here's my close ratio. You can easily work back to what you need to be doing behavior wise each day, each week, each month of the year. And you need to follow that. Now things may happen where, hey, I'm doing everything upstream, I'm getting the contacts and the drops. My close ratio is not as good. And it could be something you're saying or doing, or maybe you don't have the market at that point. There's a lot of factors. So then you can figure out what do you need to work on. So in your agency, you've got a pipeline. You can figure out the critical path for each producer. And same with your Killing Commercial. You can see where people are struggling. You can jump in and say, hey, I think you need to watch this video. You need to be doing this a little bit better. Back to football. Hey, got to work on your tackling or some of the basics. And it always comes back to basics. And people, a lot of times they sit there and wait for fish to jump out of the water into their boat. You're teaching people how to fish. And that's a big thing. It's not luck. A lot of people have luck as a strategy, and you can't scale luck. So having a process like yours sounds like it's phenomenal. So really cool.
I do think it does. Sorry, David. You made a good point about, going back to the basics and keeping it simple. I think that's one of the benefits of having somebody making calls for us, trying to set these appointments that doesn't have any insurance knowledge or know what they're doing at all, because they just keep it simple. When I was selling office supplies, we had a pitch, and that pitch stayed the same in every single business. And once people started getting skill set and becoming better, they didn't necessarily have to see as many businesses, but sometimes they would change their pitch to try to get a little bit more, I don't know, fancy or whatever. And then their numbers would go down, and you'd look at it and you'd be like, well, you're saying this at the close, and you're creating doubt. You're not dropping it how it's supposed to be dropped. And then you go back and make that change. And it's always, going back to the basics and keeping it simple. But if you don't know that process, you can't do that. If you don't know your numbers, you can't go back and say, hey, it's this part, it's the close, or, in your introduction is weak because you're not building any type of rapport with them. So, I mean, I think that's absolutely crucial.
So you can't drop it like it's hot. Drop it like it's hot. Drop it like it's hot.
Right.
Love it.
It's funny because for me, it forced me to really think like, what would somebody who has no understanding of insurance say to book an appointment for insurance? And really, you have to program your mind to think that way. So literally, I'm not worried about this guy talking about insurance. My only goal for him is he books the appointment, period.
Yeah, we can talk about the insurance.
All he has to do is to get that appointment booked. And so that's what the script reflects. And basically he says that, look, I know you weren't expecting my call today, so I'm just literally asking you for a time, that would be good in, a couple of days or whatever that is. And I'm going to have Kyle or Raphael or one of the producers call to talk to you in detail about your upcoming workers' comp renewal. That's all we're trying to do. Here's the thing, though. When you go, this is what I would not caution, but I would tell anybody who's thinking about getting a virtual assistant. It's hard. Like if you don't have your processes on lockdown and documented and easily replicable, it is a difficult process because you can't bring somebody who knows absolutely nothing into the mix without being able to train them on your way of doing business. And so the one thing that it has forced me to do more than anything else is sit back and start looking at processes. And so for the first, couple of weeks of this year already, I have probably been more process driven than I have in the last 3 years, just to make sure that as we continue to do this and scale it, because my idea is, okay, we have this appointment setter. Now we need 2 appointment setters. Now we need 3 appointment setters. And then I can scale producers to backfill based on that. And the thing that's cool with us and why I'm pumped about this is because we've really made some concerted efforts to transactionalize and streamline small commercial so that the producers are only focusing on middle market accounts. And that's the thing, man. People who, if you don't live in that world, it just doesn't typically compute until they hear it come from somebody's mouth. But my producers, if they wrote 4 $50,000 accounts in a year, that's a banner year for them. That's $200,000 in revenue on 4 accounts.
Yeah. Right.
So you don't, if we're only going on a couple of appointments a week or a month or whatever, but we're hitting that number, imagine what it would look like if you scale it to, multiple appointment setters that are filling the buckets of the producers. And I mean, if we can figure out the sauce on this, it's going to change the game and the trajectory of my agency in rapid fashion.
Oh, that's awesome. No, it's good. Well, one of the things, I think the famous lines is he who trains learns twice. So by you training people and looking at your process, look at what that's done for you and look at how you've tightened things up. Now you can handle a VA. Before you've got dialed in like this, it would have been very difficult. You would have spent time, but the best thing you have to do is when somebody forces you to train and you have to sit back and look at your process. I know myself, I got asked to coach goalies up here in Canada. I'm a hockey goalie. And yes, a lot of people think that's why I got an insurance because I got so many pucks off the head. But seriously, what it did though, is I had to train goalies. And one of the goalies I had to first work with actually made the NHL. Was it because of me? No way. He was already really good, but I'm like, this goalie's really good. I got to pick up my game. So I bought a bunch of books. I looked at everything. I read everything. I'm like, wow, I learned stuff I didn't know when I was playing net. I was just doing it intuitively. Then I actually broke it down into a science. Then I learned how to train it. And I ran that, hundreds of kids through my goalie school over a number of years. And by doing that, my own game, I played some senior A hockey till I was 35. My game improved. I played better when I was older than younger. So same thing applies to what you're doing is by teaching, you're learning it better. And by getting your process dialed in, getting all the critical paths out of there, you're going to be straight up killers in terms of being efficient. Now the biggest thing is scaling is how many more leads can we give that person to call? And, right now, because right now you're drilling in on the VA, how can we make the VA sound better? How can we make them connect? And you're going through the phone calls and you're coaching them. But man, amazing where you're going to be another year from now since you've gone down this path. So really cool stuff you're doing. Huge fan.
It's crazy, man. And I'm excited to see it because if we can scale it, I have no problem throwing the money at it,
Yeah. No,
and that's the nice part. We write one middle market account. We've paid for this guy for 2 years.
Yeah. Right. No, it's good. The good thing is you get your ROI dialed in and it's phenomenal. This is great. Good conversation, guys. Really enjoying this.
Yeah, so I know that one thing that I've heard you speak about in the past, and I kind of was interested in getting an update on, is some of the voice-related Alexa stuff that is going on with Amazon. Have you continued down that path, or has that been scrapped?
Well, my problem is you deal with Pro Navigator, and we actually built the ability to do voice quotes on Google and Amazon, and we had it working, but the Google got broken, and it's been broken for almost a year, and Pro Navigator hasn't made it a strategic priority to fix it. So I haven't been able to go out to market with it. I had a bunch of marketing ready to go, and it's currently sitting on the shelf. And with Pro Navigator, we built a version of it with Aviva, and we built a version of it with Walmanisa Insurance Company. They help fund it, and we can actually connect it into the Applied Systems rating services Fortis engine. So we had 7 or 8 questions you verbally ask. It would hit in and provide a rate for the consumer. And that information would go right into my sales management funnel. And then our salespeople would pick up the phone and call and verify the information. So, I thought that was fairly cool. I thought voice was going to go a lot further, but I just haven't been able to get to the next level in Canada right now. The other thing too is I can't get the voice and the chatbot integrated with my my BMS in Canada, broker management system. You call it AMSs. So I don't have a tight integration right now. So it's currently sitting on the shelf. I think it's got some legs in the road. I envision somebody driving down the road, talking to Aiden, our chatbot, and giving the information and doing the quote information while they're multitasking. Now, everybody's working from home right now, so maybe that's not quite as good, but I figured that people are using their smart speakers. And David and Kyle, do you have smart speakers at home? Do you each have?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
I do.
And I'm not sure if people are going to use that, but I was hoping to market and get people, hey, you could use it, right? And actually had some marketing built to do that. So anyway, we'll see what happens in 2021. I'm going to talk to Pro Navigator and see if it's on the radar screen to fix it. Hopefully it is. Hopefully we can try it and we can innovate it. So
that's interesting. Somebody could just be like, hey, Google, get me a quote for homeowners insurance or something like that, and they pop up. It links to your app or whatever, and then they're asking the questions verbally.
Yeah.
And they're just answering it while they're doing whatever they're doing in their house.
Yeah, we have it set up so it actually pops up in the display. So if you have a display, you have one of those Google displays. So when you're talking, it shows up. It'll actually pull up the insurance company. You can see the price. We actually, it's pretty cool. Like I had this built in 2018. I did my first real live demo in front of 800 people in Cleveland at Elevate 18. And, back then I had it working, but just had to get a few more things tweaked. And I just can't seem to get that next level. And a couple of years has gone by. So I got to say, I'm a little frustrated, but that said, are people going to use their voice? I don't know. Right now I'd like to split test it and see what happens, but I can't right now. The experience isn't where it needs to be. And, I'm hoping to get a few things tweaked and run a trial. In the meantime, I'm running, we're doing all our traditional marketing to drive our 800 to 1,000 leads right now. And we're currently generating enough leads for our growth right now on the personal line side. So that's continuing to work, but I have a feeling that could maybe be a cool factor, but unfortunately I have not been able to take it any further. And that's the reason why. So
I think that if you really
oh, sorry, we just lost you there.
Yeah, it's that mic keeps going out.
Yeah, have to go back to the Yeti, right? So,
right, yeah, seriously, my Yeti works just fine.
Yeah, do you guys edit? Do you guys edit this or just?
Oh yeah. No, we can chop it up.
Okay, that's fine, no problem. Hey, Dave, do you want to just see if there are things working again? Let's go back to your question to keep the flow. Yeah, when he gets his new desktop in, like that's the problem. When you're running a lot of heavy duty stuff, you need to have a lot of horsepower in your desktop. Like I had to buy a USB adapter because I had so many things going in my computer. I didn't have enough USB ports. I'm still only running 2 monitors. I'm going to go to 3 because of our new VoIP system we're putting in, but I don't have enough ports. So I had to buy the adapters, right? So
the 3 monitors was a game changer for me.
Yeah, especially with the big vertical one that you can read
exactly
the entire page on.
I need to get that set up here at the house, man. Like this sucks just being on my laptop. Like it takes me like 3 times as long to do things, but whatever.
Yeah, no doubt. Hey, sorry, Dave, you're gonna ask a question.
Yeah, what I was getting ready to say is I think that the voice thing also has the ability to be a huge game changer in the event of claims, right? So let's just say that you're in Florida and there's a hurricane that gets into certain latitudinal and longitudinal range, or you're in California and there's a wildfire that's approaching your area. You could get an alert from your home system that says, hey, by the way, there's a storm in this area. It's time for you to evacuate. And because we know who you are and we have information on your homeowner's insurance in place, we've already booked a hotel for you X number of miles away. Please proceed there. We've already given prepaid for X number of meals for you that have been ordered from this restaurant to be delivered to that hotel. I mean, look, man, if you think big, the sky is the limit for where this thing is. But I mean, if you look at what the problems are that need to be solved, quotes are one of them, but just helping the ease of that process. If you had the ability to do that with voice integration, whether it be through an app on your phone or whether it be, through Alexa or, a Google Nest or whatever it is, that would be a big thing. We use Insurance Agent app for personal lines, and I guess we're going to start using it for small commercial. It integrates with it. But we have a call with them on Monday because they now have a Cover Wallet integration. So one of the things we're going to do is move our small business unit to Cover Wallet because it makes way more sense for us to use that. Even though I might be giving up a little bit of revenue, the amount of money that I pick up in efficiency is through the roof. And from what I understand, they have an integration that is either out or coming out with Insurance Agent app. So if I go write GL for a small contractor and, 2 months down the road, he needs workers' comp, he can go through the mobile app and get quotes directly from CoverWallet and bind them in that app without me even needing to be involved.
Wow, that's cool. We currently have applied CSR 24 mobile. We use it for a mobile application. It works okay. Does the job. Trufula has got a really good app also that works in Canada. Those are kind of the two best apps right now in our marketplace. And we've had to push our companies during COVID. Two of our bigger markets have pushed us to go paperless. And again, so it's not a matter of just going paperless and flicking a switch. You have to get your clients in your mobile app. You have to email PDFs. You have to get everybody used to using auto ID cards. We call them pink slips, but that's when you fire somebody in the US. So I call it auto ID cards. I think that's a term that makes more sense. In order to be able to, instead of putting your glove box, people have to get used to sharing that digitally. So, totally think you're going the right way to try and automate some of that stuff and use computers technology to do it. I think that's really strong and, basically the way to go, right? It's providing that experience. Like really, at the end of the day, we're not in the insurance business, we're in the experience business. And that's one of the things when I talk about that. And you got to compare our experiences not to other insurance agents, but other industries. So I think the stuff you're doing, I love the idea of the claims on the wildfire. Imagine if you're driving down the road and you're talking to your insurance agent while you're shedding the fire, and you can verbally make that communication with your voice. And then in the back, that claims experience developed. We have a lot of work of creating, I call it claims ecosystems, where, your company's on the same page, the company's connected to the hotels, the food, and they can actually coordinate all that. But I think over the next 1 to 3 years, you're going to see those ecosystems and the whole claims experience go to the next level. A lot of companies just have an integrated claims. They can't, their claims department can't talk to all these different vendors, and they can't coordinate it. And then clients can't go into the mobile app and say, hey, what's going on with my claim, and see all the notes, see where they're at, get a hold of somebody quickly. At least in Canada, maybe it's better in the US with your markets, but the claims process isn't there. And it's kind of the undiscovered country is, hey, we're in the business to play claims. 8 to 10% of your clients have them, but nobody's doing any work to make it better. And all this technology's coming down the pipe. So exactly what you said, David, that's going to happen. That's going to be a shift over the next 1 to 3 years. I see happening is, and I'm bullish about building our own claims experience better as a broker now that we have Marketing Cloud, and we were just getting it ready to launch with the Be Atomic over the next month. I'm excited what we can do over the next 12 months now that, we're using a world-class system like Marketing Cloud. We didn't have HubSpot. We were using a third-party emailing software. Now we've got a big data warehouse that we're sharing aggregated data with other agents, and we're building some really cool journeys using video and some really mind-blowing stuff that I'm excited to get out the door in 2021 to kind of improve our retention and do a lot of cross-selling and provide better service to our clients. So,
the biggest thing that has to happen more than anything else is we have to figure out a way. And I've obviously done this, tested it, and am continuing to test ways to tweak it and fine tune it. But you got to get people to adopt the technology on the user end first, right? Mm-hmm. We could have all the best technology in the world, but if your client is not going to even do the simple task of getting that app downloaded, it's not going to help. If you can get the app downloaded, you can try your best to engage them with different push notifications or whatever else to get them to actually use it. And that's one of the reasons why when we send out our client welcome kits for personal lines clients, we give them an abnormally large number of points to get their home inventory into the system. Now, that seems like a pain in the butt, but we're forcing them to do something that they probably haven't done. I mean, I would be interested in interviewing. That really should be one of the questions, that we ask every personal lines client when we talk to them that wants a homeowner's quote. When's the last time you did a home inventory of your belongings?
No,
never.
Are you doing this with video? Are you basically, they do a 360 scan of each room, record it, and upload that video into your system?
No, it's not even us. It's integrated with the Insurance Agent app. They can go in and take their pictures and everything and put their values in that, and it's all done inside the app. The problem is you got to get them to download the app.
Well, the thing too is like how many people, I'll be honest, like I've told some of my farm clients, hey, sit down in your shed, make a list of all your tools, take pictures. I had one guy do that. He went through a case of beer over 3 days and he had like $6,000 of coverage. He goes, Jeff, I got $35,000 worth of tools. And I said, yeah, everybody's way underinsured. And we try and get people to do that, but nobody wants to sit there and blow 3 days of going through that. So imagine if you could use AI and machines. So imagine if a system you videotape and it's smart enough to pick all that stuff and do that. They should be able to do that with AI at some point in the future. Nobody wants to sit down. I wouldn't say nobody, but how many people want to sit down and do that? And if you're getting people to do that, David, with your app, that's amazing because I can't, most people want to take a photo of the room or do a 360 spin that they can afford to do. And they could spend 4 or 5 minutes videotaping everything because most people will never need that video unless you live in California, where the wildfires are, or you get a hurricane where you can have mass damage and flooding. Generally most areas aren't going to see so much significant loss. But yet when you have a loss, that's the best thing you ever did because nobody can remember all the small trinkets and things that you've got. So that's a whole experience that what's the next level of that look like? The biggest thing is painting a picture. And I think what we lack is a bit of an imagination as agents. We're too busy doing things the way we've always done it or waiting for our vendors to give us the best thing. I like what you did, David and Kyle, what you're doing is you're saying, hey, here's my image. I want to go out and make it happen. And the best way to predict the future, I always say, is to create it. You're trying to create a whole new experience. And it's not one thing, it's 10 or 15 of these little things. They're going to separate you and give you that secret sauce to help you kill and pick up more accounts from it, right?
Yeah, the thing is the technology for what you just described is already there. And the reason why I know is I've got a friend of mine who is a mobile app developer, and he actually developed an app where you can be in New York City at the Twin Towers Memorial, and you can hold your phone up and scan the city of New York, and it will identify every building that you scan, and it'll give you the name of the building, the history of the building, and all of that. It's a matter of building out the database to have the visual recognition is there. I think what's missing is the back end of being able to tie a description and a value to all of that. So if somebody could come out with the ability to do that.
Yeah. Well, here's the other idea I've had, and I haven't spending much time, but imagine if you take a picture, a video of a business, and then all of a sudden you drop it in. And there's videos that did that on a smaller scale, but all of a sudden every peril that could damage that business hits that business. So all of a sudden you see the building burn down, you see lightning hit it, you see a vehicle go through the front door. Imagine if somebody did that to have an interactive 3D version of your policy so it actually comes to life. Because a lot of people go, it's never going to happen to me in business. If you're watching your business actually burning down the house right in front of you,
it's different.
Those limits might be a little bit, you might go, gee, I am underinsured. This could happen. Here's what I need to do. And there's something about you can hear it, but when you see it visually, it becomes a lot more ingrained into your brain, right? So there's a lot of cool stuff. I think, as an industry, if we got, collaboratively, I love this killing commercial. Maybe that's something that, if Excalibur is a member of that in your community, we can help work on these things because having the vision is part of it, but actually making it happen, grabbing the business by the lapels and pulling it into you and making it your own. That's where the magic is. And so many few people have ideas and never take any action, right?
Well, I think the other thing too is basically what you just described is taking the probable maximum loss of any scenario and visualizing that. You turn that into something that people can see. I mean, I've always tried to use technology in my business. When I was way back when, going 20 plus years ago, I owned a landscape company, and I was the first person in my area. I saw a piece of software that I bought that was dirt. It was hokey at best. Okay. But it allowed me to take a digital camera and scan a picture of my prospect's home into my computer. And then I could click and drag pictures of the plants and things that they wanted. And then I could press a button and show them how it would age over 5 years, 10 years, whatever else. And it's
so much more powerful. Like
I sold every deal.
Right,
I sold every single deal that I did that way. And I think that if you're making the case, we talk about business income worksheets, we talk about statements of values, and having people go through and make sure that all of that stuff is airtight. But really what they need is big pictures, big print, bright colors to get their attention. Somebody sees their building blow up and that's how much that's going to cost. Then they're probably gonna be a little bit more in tune with what you're recommending than if you're just recommending it to recommend it.
It's real. It just happened, and maybe fantasy land, maybe in their dreams, but it happened, right? I'm not sure if we're quite ready to have smell-o-vision where we can smell the smoke, but let's just kind of start with the vision, right? But yeah, no, it's good. It's good. It's interesting because it's never been a better time in human history where agents and brokers can actually take control of technology, right? And when I speak, one of my favorite slides is, Uber's in the taxi business and they're the biggest transportation provider, but they own no taxis. Airbnb owns the most hotel rooms. They don't own any or have the most hotel rooms. They don't own anything. Agents and brokers, we don't own any insurance companies or insurance, but we basically sell it. And we're in a better position to disrupt. So, there's a lot of shifts happening. Canada, a lot of brokers are selling. Everything's getting bigger in scale. And we don't have as many SIAs and stuff like that to join up for scratch brokers. So it's really difficult for a broker to start from scratch. So we're seeing a big change happening up here in Canada, and it's only going to accelerate over the next 5 years where the barrier of entry is going to be more difficult. Are you seeing that in the US, or the scratch agents? Like, I see so many more scratch agents and more people start from scratch in the US than I do in Canada, where people seem to be able to get their footing in place. Is that something, or do you see that becoming less and less?
No, I think that more people are leaving captives. I think one reason why is they're leaving captives where they basically go learn how to run an agency and how to sell a product and decide, you know what, I think I can take everything I've learned and go do this myself. Yeah. And so that probably skews the number of scratch agencies that we start here to a certain degree. Yeah. But the other thing is, there's, I've said it before, there's low barriers to entry to our industry. If you've got a few bucks, you can go take the test, get your license. You don't even have to take a test to get your agency license, and you can be up and running. And
you get markets like SIA, for instance, or you can go to a third party, you can hook up with a broker. They seem to be a little more ability to do that, right? And those captive agents, don't you have a guy named Bradley Flowers on Team Alabama or something?
Yeah,
isn't he a guy that went through exactly what you just said?
Yeah, he did. So did Scott. Scott and Bradley both were captive agents. Scott was with Nationwide and Bradley was with Alpha up in Alabama. And Scott recently got his independence this past summer. So he's fully independent now too. But that's crazy to think that there's that many people migrating. And you know what? People are continuing just to backfill, when somebody leaves the captive, they backfill them with people. So
no, that's cool. Hey, quick one. I know we're probably getting close on time, but I'd love to have you on the Digital Insurance Pint podcast. We just launched our series 1 about 2 or 3 months ago. We've been recording season 2, and I do it with 3 other excellent guys in Canada where we focus on digital and the companies, the vendors, and the brokers that are making it happen in Canada. We've kept it on Canadian focus in year 2 or season 2, but season 3 we're going to branch out and bring some excellent people. So I'd love to have you guys on our podcast. It's a little bit different. You have to drink a beer. We send out a 4-pack of beer and a shirt and a glass, and we call the Digital Insurance Pint because, some of the best ideas happen over a beer or a drink, right? And if you're not a drinker, we totally get that. That's okay. That's cool too. But
I don't think you have any issues there.
Yeah, well, most people in insurance like to have a drink, but that was the whole concept is, hey, open the top or, raise the bar. And that's something we've really felt strongly about focusing on. And, we're just launching season 2, and we've got a couple sponsors that helped us. We just wanted to run it at break even, but any profits we donate back to Women in Insurance for Cancer. So stay tuned for that.
Very cool.
I'd love to have you guys on in season 3. I'd like to have some of my great American friends like Cass, Chris Paradiso, yourselves. There's a bunch of good friends that I've been lucky enough to meet on my travels, and really fortunate to have people like you to call friends, and some of the best agents. So I just love what you guys are doing. I'm a huge fan, and thanks a lot for having me on your podcast. I think we kind of had a good riff session, and basically, is there anything else we didn't get a chance to go over or you want to talk about? Or
no, the only thing you need to do before I let you go is tell them how to get a hold of you, man. I'm sure that people are going to hear you talk and want to pick your brain a little bit. What's the easiest way for them to find you?
Yeah, just add me on, just type in Jeff Roy from Excalibur Insurance Group on LinkedIn. I am on Twitter. I think it's JR Roy5 on Twitter. Maybe it's 150. I have to look at that. Got so many different codes out there, but type me in on Twitter. And my email address is jroy@ei in the word group.ca. Feel free to reach out. And I said, love the vibe you guys are doing, and love how you're enabling agents to be a better version of themselves every day. Really cool story. So
awesome. Well, Jeff, I appreciate your time today, man.
Yep.
I'm going to let you run. I've got another call I have to jump on, but I'm sure we'll have you back in the near future because there's so many more things we could have talked about. And
yeah, I felt like we just scratched the I felt like we just scratched the surface, right? But hey, good stuff, guys, and have a fantastic day and best of luck to your football team.
Thanks, man.
Thanks,
Appreciate it, Jeff.
Man.
Take care, man.
You've been listening to the Power Producers Podcast. You can follow Killing Commercial Insurance on Facebook and YouTube. And if you want to take your game to the next level, check out our book, The Extra 2 Minutes, and our website, killingcommercial.com.